Happy holidays and welcome back, hikers, to Follow Bigfoot, where our motive is to inspire, to motivate you to get out of the house, out in the outdoors, on the trail, and hike your own hike. Now we're coming back to you with another Q&A segment here on the Tuesday that we do each and every Tuesday, each and every week. And this is how you can get into next week's Q&A. Scroll down and check out the comment box below. Put your question in there. I pull all of my questions for next week's Q&A from the questions that I get from the prior week. Now you can also ask your questions on my Instagram page or my Facebook page, Follow Bigfoot, and put your question below in this week's Q&A post. So that's it. That's how you get your questions in the queue. I will answer as many questions as I can in the allotted time that I have each and every week. Have you entered my Christmas gear giveaway yet? If you haven't, you gotta do it today. You gotta do it right now. I'll throw the link in the video that talks about how to get your name into the Christmas gear giveaway so you have an opportunity to win one of 17 things that we're giving away, which is over $900 worth of gear. But make sure you do it today, because tonight I'm drawing the names for the winners, so I have enough time to be able to record the video and post it on Thursday. Now it's time for the Q&A. What kind of camera or cameras do you use when on trail and off trail at home making videos? What do you use to protect them from the elements? While I'm on the trail, I exclusively just use my iPhone 7 Plus. I bought it sometime earlier this year when it came out, and I've really just only used that this year in 2017, and probably will continue to use that on the trail in 2018. I'm thinking about possibly getting a point and shoot camera, but right now I am just using my iPhone 7 Plus while I'm actually on the trail. And because it is water resistant, I don't really need to worry about anything to waterproof my iPhone 7 Plus. Now, when I had my iPhone 6 and used it on the Appalachian Trail, there were a lot of things that I had to do, and really I couldn't really use it in the elements. But with the iPhone 7 Plus, I don't have to worry about that. Now, as it pertains to my camera that I'm shooting with right now, and I shoot all of my videos at home with, it's the Olympus OMD EM5 Mark II. Really, really long name, but I got it because of the recommendations that I got when I was at National Camera Exchange, which is where I bought my camera. And I wanted a camera that was small and compact enough if I ever wanted to take it on the trail. That's the reason why I went with this particular camera. It is extremely rugged and can handle the elements outside if I wanted to shoot in the rain, in the snow, in the elements. I haven't really taken it outside and done it yet on the trail. That's really what I've been using my iPhone 7 Plus for, but that is what I'm using it for. I also use a particular lens from Olympus. I will put the links of what I actually use below in the description box so you kind of just get an idea what I use for my video. I'll also put what I use for my audio in case you're interested in that as well. What's your biggest motivation while on long through hikes? Back on the Appalachian Trail, my biggest motivation was really just the challenge of completing the Appalachian Trail. I had 100 days to do it, and I was determined, I mean determined, to get to Katahdin before or right at my 100-day deadline. So that's really what motivated me most of the time and picked me up and kept me going. Now, outside of the physical component of challenges that really motivates me, I just find the trail really, really inspiring. So when I'm out there, I'm just motivated. I get inspiration from being on the trail, from meeting other hikers, and being out in the middle of nowhere and not having to worry about all the things that we have to deal with in the real world. I absolutely love it. I love how peaceful it is. That really inspires and motivates me. What's your opinion on winter hiking, specifically the best clothes, layering system, and why? I think that's kind of something that I probably could do a whole video about, and maybe I will when I get done with my winter through hike. So I really don't want to take the time to talk about the details on that. So what I'll do, and this is from Marshall Crabtree. Marshall, I will do a video sometime after my winter hike here in a couple weeks on layering what I feel are the best system, the system that I use, and also just the system that I use on the trail. I've talked about that a little bit here and there, but we'll save that for another video a little later. If you can hike the AT in 100 days, why not the PCT in 105? Go for it. If and when, or when and if, whatever you want to call it, I get the opportunity to go out and do the PCT. It really depends on the time frame that I have. When I did the Appalachian Trail, I had to be done in 100 days because I had to be back to work in 108 days. So the big factor is do I have to be done by a certain time to get back to work or whatever I might have to do that creates a time frame. Now, I definitely feel like I could do the PCT in 100 days if I needed to, but that would only be if I needed to. If I had a very short time frame and window to go out there and through hike the PCT, but I'd rather take a little bit more time than I did on the Appalachian Trail to experience more of the trail, be able to have an opportunity to hike with more hikers and have a little bit more fun. But I do love the challenge that I did, like with the Appalachian Trail, where I had that short time frame that really motivated me. Hey Bigfoot, my question is, how funny is the Ultralight Jerk account on Instagram? So I actually think he is hilarious. He or she, whoever it is, I don't know who it is, but if you haven't seen them, go over and check out their Instagram account at Ultralight Jerk. They actually posted something about me not too long ago, and it made me chuckle, but I think they have a great sense of humor, and I hope they keep on doing that. Hey Bigfoot, planning my AT through hike in 2018, aiming to finish in 5 to 5.5 months. All the videos I've seen say to budget around $5,000 for the trip, but most of the Reddit posts and info from Nemore say $2,500 to $3,000 is plenty. What's your take on this? Thanks. Definitely is possible to do it in, say, $3,000 for a 5-month hike, but you're going to have to make sacrifices. You know, they typically say out there that the average hiker will spend about $1,000 a month out on the trail. Now, the average hiker is going to go into town and they're going to stay in town once in a while. The average hiker is going to have a few beers in town. They're going to eat in town, so on and so forth. So it really depends on the choices that you make while you're out there, how much time that you're actually spending in the trail town. If you're taking lots of zeros, it's going to cost you a lot more money. The places that you're going to stay, are you going to stay at hostels? Or are you going to stay at like churches where you can stay for free? Maybe you have to do a chore or two or something like that. There's definitely ways that you can save a ton of money out there on the trail, and it is doable in $3,000 if you are really restrictive with your money. Now, one of the luxuries that I didn't have that a lot of hikers out there have, and you probably will have this opportunity as well in that time frame, is getting with a group of folks. When you're hiking together in a group, kind of becomes your family. You start splitting things. You start splitting hotel rooms, motel rooms. You start splitting the cost of food, things like that. That makes it a lot cheaper for you, and you can save a lot of money in that. I didn't really have that luxury because I wasn't able to hike with folks for most of my journey outside of about 20 days. So that's going to also save you a ton of money. But if you really wanted to do it, you could. You just got to be careful. Hey Bigfoot, what is the best way to travel out of state with a backpack? And what do you do with your street clothes once you get to your destination? Or do you just travel in hiking clothes? Thanks, man. So I actually do travel in my hiking clothes. When I went to the JMT, I just traveled in what I was hiking with for the entire through hike. Now, if I was meeting up with somebody that I knew I was going to see before the end of my through hike, then I could leave it with them. But every single time that I've actually gone traveling, I always just travel and wear my clothes I'm going to be wearing out there. You know, I'm going to be wearing them for an extended period of time anyway, whether it's weeks or months. So what's a couple extra days really matter anyway. Now, if you really, really wanted to, I suppose you could just change when you get to your destination and mail all of your clothes back home. You know, it costs a little bit of money and kind of more of a pain than you need to do. I would just travel with my clothes. Hi Rory, concerning winter footwear, would you be interested in providing info on winter footwear and what you'll be using on the Spear Hiking Trail? Have you ever used a vapor barrier to prevent evaporative heat loss in very cold climates? Also, how will you choose the winners for your contest? Patreons will have an advantage, but for the bulk of readers, will it be random? Thanks. So for the first question about footwear on the Spear Hiking Trail, I am using a pair of Keen boots. I actually have them on right now, and I'll put a link to the Keen boot below. I actually can't remember off the top of my head what the model is, but in terms of footwear, I don't have a ton of experience out there on winter hikes, so that component I'm learning right now. So that's something I probably could get back to you a little bit later. The reason why I got these specific boots was because I want to do a lot of snowshoeing, and this boot was recommended by a lot of folks over at REI to wear while I'm snowshoeing. So that's just the boot that I chose, and I've done a lot of winter hiking in them last year, and they were really comfortable, and I stayed really warm. Now, in terms of a vapor barrier, I actually have used a vapor barrier all of the time while I was on the JMT and a few times when I was out on the Appalachian Trail. What I use is my rain jacket. So what I'll do is I'll have my long sleeve Patagonia hoodie underneath. That's my first layer. My second layer is going to be my rain jacket, and then on top of that, I will put my down jacket. I probably did that the last 3 days while I was actually on the John Muir Trail. We had this huge cold front that came in. It got extremely cold, and there were times where I needed to put it on when I was descending and not generating a lot of body heat. But what I didn't want to do is I didn't want the sweat, the perspiration from the rest of my hiking clothes to penetrate and get into my down jacket. So I used that rain jacket not only to separate my down jacket so it didn't get wet, but be able to really absorb the heat and keep it inside, contained in the rain jacket. There's a lot of times that I actually use my rain jacket as my outer layer, not when it's raining out, but just to really preserve the heat and keep it trapped inside of the rain jacket. I did that all of the time on the Appalachian Trail. It works out really well because you can keep your rain jacket in the very back of your pack in the mesh pocket, somewhere that's easily accessible. And when you just need something to warm you up real quick, I threw that on. I didn't have to worry about, getting anything wet. Like if I use a different article of clothing, I'm usually full of sweat and I'm probably going to get it a little wet from my sweat. But with a rain jacket, you don't have to worry about that. So it was really convenient and accessible. So I use my rain jacket as my vapor barrier all of the time. Now, as it pertains to how I'm choosing the winner, for the patrons, the advantage they have is they have basically a separate contest just exclusive to them, depending on the reward level and how many entries they get on that reward level. Now, as for everybody else, one of the requirements was to sign up for my newsletter. When I go into my website, I use MailChimp to export all of the names. All I have to do is copy and paste those names in this raffle, this random raffle generator. Once I do that, all I have to do is click one button and it gives me a random person that wins. So it's actually really, really easy. And that's the reason why I did what I did, because it was easiest for me to export all of the contacts and make this really, truly random so that it's fair for everybody. Question: is a down jacket necessary? It can't be used in wet weather or hiked in like wool or fleece. To me, this makes it rather pointless. Great question. So first, it is almost mandatory. I believe on a thru hike, it's mandatory to have some sort of down jacket. You don't have to have a regular down. You can get a synthetic down. A synthetic down will be highly effective. It's effective when it's wet. So if you're going to be hiking in conditions that you think you'll be using it when it's really wet out, then go with a synthetic down. Now, they typically weigh a little bit more, but again, because they're effective when they're wet, totally worth it. Now, the reason why I don't go with a synthetic down jacket while I was out there on the trail is because of my layering system, and I really more use my rain jacket to really warm me up. When I am hiking out there, I'm generating so much body heat, just like all of us, and I have rarely ever needed anything more than my down jacket on top of whatever I have beneath, which is typically my Patagonia lightweight shirt. I put my rain jacket over it, and not only does it keep me dry, but it really keeps my body heat from escaping and keeps me really, really warm. So when I just need a little pick-me-up and to warm up, even when it's not raining, I'd say 90% of the time I'm wearing my rain jacket, it's when it's not raining. I just use that thing and it warms me right up. So I really rarely never need to use my down jacket in wet conditions. Well, hikers, that's all the time that we have for this week's Q&A. If you have a question, make sure that you leave it below in the comment box. I'm going to pull all of my questions for next week's from there. Also, I will pull them from Instagram and Facebook at followbigfoot. And you can also email your questions to followbigfoot@yahoo.com. Make sure you sign up for my gear giveaway. Time is a-ticking, literally. Stay tuned for the giveaway on Thursday, where I'll announce all 17 winners. And remember to always follow Bigfoot.